Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my Halloween marathon. And tonight I'm going over a movie that I have heard about for years, but I've only seen a couple times now, and that's The Human Centipede. So, this one is actually kind of interesting because I actually saw the third one first when it was on Netflix. And I believe I saw the first one. I think that one was also on Netflix or YouTube, one or the other. And then the second, I either watched it on YouTube or on one of those unofficial sites. Whoops. But quick note, like what I do like about all these films is that the director Tom Six, he tries to make each entrance like a different kind of film. Where the first one was like just a run of the mill horror film. The second one was sort of like this exploitation, like gritty and grimy film, kind of like experimental. And I think that was kind of shown mostly from like having a black and white color palette. And then the third one was sort of like a black comedy, because there was a lot of like black humor, gross out sequences in there. But going back to the first movie, the first one was pretty good. It was tame compared to the sequels, of course. I mean, I'm still always gonna think that the second one is like the worst one out of the three in its own way. All of them are pretty bad in their own ways, but like the first one was pretty tame. Like there was a bit of body horror, especially with like the actual centipede, human centipede. The main antagonist, the actor and the actor who plays as him, are great. Even in the first movie, like they have this sort of campiness to it, with how like grand with how grand his acting is, especially that scene where he feeds the centipede and he keeps screaming like feed her," like that. It it actually kind of made me laugh a little bit. I mean, it's like I said about like the first Hostel movie. Like this movie is tame compared to the other episodes in this series. Um, there's really not much for me to say. I mean, like the acting was okay. The whole aesthetic, where it looks like it's in this like sterile, uh, or in this sterile like house with a secret laboratory underneath, looked kind of cool. Again, the villain and the actor who plays him are great. I mean, it's awesome that he was not only in this first movie, but he came back for the third film as like the warden of this prison. And the same goes for the other antagonist in the second film. Like he came back to be like the warden's like assistant or something. But yeah, there's not much for me to say about this film other than like it was great. The only thing that I can really say that's a little bit of a negative, and like this technically isn't the fault of the film itself, but I was a little bit let down by the body horror in this, and it wasn't exactly the movie's fault. It was more the fault of the fact that like I saw the third film first, which I'm gonna blame Netflix for that, of only having the third one on there at the time. But but when you get to the third movie, like you see the warden being honestly more despicable than the scientist character. Like he's constantly throwing around racial slurs. He says the N-word in like the first 5 minutes, I think. He's like snapping inmates' arms, like just outright killing them and castrating them, and that's before he sedates them to be part of like the human centipede. Oh, and Um, and he does some pretty despicable stuff to like his assistants. So no fault of the movie itself. I just was let down by how tame the original one was, if that makes sense. But with that aside, it's still a pretty good film. I wouldn't exactly call it like a Halloween classic, but like just a almost like a B movie that you could just watch on a fun weekend night. But that's it for this review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another horror movie. Bye, everyone.